Now we're going to have another conceptual look at the next step that we've automated in our CI/CD pipeline. Previously, we saw how we'd automated the training and testing as well as the deployment steps in our CI pipeline. Next up, we're going to automate the model building and publishing. And you'll recall that back in section 5, we ran the training on the command line with the tox-e train command. Then we built our package with the py-m build command. That was on Windows. And then that generated this distribution, which is shortened to dist directory, where we'd find our tar.gzip file as well as our wheel file, which were generated during the building of our package. Up until now, we've been running all this locally on the command line. So now we're shifting it to be done automatically in CI, and we're adding the publish step as well, which we didn't cover up until now. So what are we doing with publishing? So far, we just run pip install and then our regression model. And the reason why that just works is because I have published that package to what's called the Python package index, PyPI. And this is where publicly available Python packages can be uploaded so that anybody in the world can install them as long as they've got an internet connection. Now that's great for things that you want to be publicly accessible, but in a lot of businesses you have proprietary information and intellectual property, and in those scenarios you want to publish to a private index server. And an index server is just a file server. It's a place to host files. There are many different ways you can do this with Python private packages. You can use something like an AWS S3 bucket. You can create any web server, and there's guidelines in the Python packaging website on how to host your own private server. I'll link to those in the lecture notes. But there are also managed services which do this for you, and one of those is called Gemfury. There are others, but we're going to go with Gemfury because it is relatively simple to use and it has a free trial so that you can try it out and learn without having to pay anything. The way we make use of our private Gemfury index server is that we pass the extra index URL to our pip command, and then we specify the Gemfury unique index URL that we'll be looking at in the next lecture. Now, a slight clarification here. The way we've structured the course is so that here in section 7 we're going to publish the package to Gemfury, but we're not going to actually use it until section 8. So we're kind of gradually increasing the complexity here. So for the rest of section 7 we'll continue using the publicly available regression model package that we've published to PyPI, and then in section 8 we'll start using this pip extra index URL to pull down the package that we learn how to publish in this section. So to reiterate, section 7, publishing, section 8, putting it all together and using the package that we've published. So this is the code where it's added in our requirements.txt file. And fundamentally we're just telling pip, hey, you should look in PyPI for all your regular packages like FastAPI and Pydantic, but then you should also look in this extra private file server, and get packages from there as well. So that's how pip is going to find our train and data regression model when we publish it to our own private index server. And so we're going to need more environment variables in Circle CI, as you'd expect, the pip extra index URL, so that we can install our model package. We also need to add our Kaggle key and Kaggle username, and in the next lecture you'll see where to find that in Kaggle. I'll also link to it in the lecture notes. But the reason we need those is because when we're testing our package, we need to fetch the data, and we can do that using the Kaggle command line interface. It's best practice not to store the data in the GitHub repo, and so in our CI pipeline we need to get access to that data, because whilst the API does have access to the data because it's in the package itself doesn't have access to the data because it hasn't yet published it. Hence we need that little workaround. And then one last confusing extra environment variable here is the Gemfury push URL, which for our purposes is actually going to be the same as the pip extra index URL, but we need this, but we do make the distinction because it's possible to have a read-only token and then a push token with different levels of authority. We've simplified things for learning here, but it is good to have that distinction. And our publish bash script, which we look at in the next lecture, expects to find this Gemfury push URL. I would advise you not to fixate too much on any particular technology like Heroku or Gemfury, and instead just to conceptually understand that we want to automate these different steps that up until now we have been doing manually. Okay, so in the next lecture we'll implement this automation in Circle CI.